Hey everyone, today for another vlog, and today I want to talk about swimming back to the surface. So, what is it and why it's important? So, swimming back to the surface is the analogy that I've come across, and I think is really good for when things are just chaotic in life, and when your best move is not really to solve anything or just to or whatever. It's just to come back to a form of stability, right? So the metaphor being that when a surfer is knocked out of the surfing board by like a wave or whatever, the best thing to do is, in the immediate thing, is to swim back to the surface. In other words, to not die, right? Like that's another way to frame it, and to find some form of grounding, in the like swimming back to the surface to just to get a sense of stability. And I think in life it's really important to recognize when a situation is chaotic rather than a problem to solve. So I've talked in another vlog, I think, or I'm not sure, I don't know. Like the difference between a problem to solve and like a an exploration. Uh, in exploration, the things that the framing of when you're exploring the framing of your world and your life, they're constantly changing. Therefore, it's not really appropriate to talk about a problem because things change so much. There's so much unknown that you can't really have like fixed things to work towards anymore. Well, in a chaotic situation, it's kind of similar, but it's even worse than an exploration because here you're not even like you don't even have the resources to really explore. Like things are just so unstable and chaotic that the best thing to do is really just to uh, find a space and a time to just take a breath. Right? That's really all it's about. It's not about going anywhere. It's simply about not dying. And like it's a bit confronting to admit to yourself that like you're not really in a place. So I would say that's kind of my place right now. Is in place in life is that I'm not super like available to like do a lot of things. Although I can definitely do things also. It's let's not turn this into a limiting mindset as well. It's important to realize that even in the worst times there are definitely a few things you can do, but like for me it's more like a general sense of like I'm not gonna produce something amazing in my current situation. I can I can take like I can definitely do experiments. I can take rest and breathe and do important things, but like this isn't probably not gonna be like the most mind-blowingly productive period of my life. Simply because things just feel a bit chaotic, like in an emotional sense. Like I'm just, just feels like I've been kind of going on through the motions lately, and I don't even know what's going on. Like I don't even know what's going on. So when you don't know what's going on, you can't solve problems, and you can't even explore. Like you can simply focus on asking yourself what is going on. Well, what am I feeling? Why do I turn to the distractions that I do turn to? Why can't I do the things that I want to do? What do I want to do even? Like it's sometimes it's kind of hard for me to wrap around my head around that. Yeah, so that's what I mean by swinging back to the surface. Sometimes you just need to understand what's going on before doing anything. That's not easy. I would say. I think for a lot of people they simply never ask themselves that because they're just so busy um, executing the program of society that they're not really thinking about their own path in life, and so they probably are not very confused because when you're walking someone else's path, you're not confused because it's just laid down in front of you. But then again, is it really a good idea to walk someone else's path if you haven't checked with yourself whether you resonate with it or not? For me, the answer is clearly no, right? But because my own path is quite different from what society gives to me. But sometimes those two things are aligned, right? But in my case, they're definitely not. And yeah, in those situations, when things are just chaotic, again, it's the right move. I would say is just slow down and ask yourself, the what is going on questions, right? So trying to understand your current situation because if you haven't got like a solid footing on your current situation, then any step always feels a bit a bit confused, like not really solid or whatever. But on the other hand, I think it is worth putting a caveat to what I'm talking about, which is that sometimes you can just do things. Sometimes you don't need like a clear intent or a clear footing or a clear, sense of where you're going. Sometimes you can just do things, and that's useful. That's definitely useful. I could make a completely counter argument to this vlog with another vlog, which is that, sometimes doing things is the right thing to do. Sometimes you just go with the fucking chaos and you just do things anyway, and that's great. And that can definitely be the right move, right? Um, this is why life is so difficult to navigate because you can come up with two counter just counter two moves that are completely opposite to one another, and they can be completely right depending on the circumstances. But I think in this one, I simply want to talk about the situation where looking for a sense of solidness and stability is actually what feels right. That it just feels like you would just be flailing around and doing random moves, and that it doesn't seem like it would bring anything to your life if you were to just do things. And I think that is an important, life situation that arises. Bringing in some sort of esoteric old systems to it. If you look at the different cards of the tarot, the major arcana to be precise, there are many cards that are about chaos, right? Like a situation of chaos that calls deep change. So of course you have the Tower, you have the Hanged Man. Death is another one, obviously. The Hermit is about retreating, sorry, to an inner isolated position in order to get insight. So it's quite clear that in life, those old traditions have recognized that dealing with chaos is inevitable, like it's just a part of life, and that chaos might actually be very, very beautiful in a way, like not only very useful but very beautiful, because when things go when things just become chaotic, you also tend to recognize what's valuable in your life, right? So, and you can also gain insights that you didn't have. So that is one interpretation of the cards. The Hangman, for example, is that even though your life is thrown around in chaos such that things are turned upside down, the fact that things are turned upside down also means that you can see things in another light, right? So the way that the hangman, by seeing the world upside down, can also see things in his life that he couldn't see before. It can be very useful actually to have those periods of where you're just really confused, because it really emphasizes what's important. Like when everything is quite uncertain, then suddenly you kind of come the other end with a much clearer sense of what's important. And yeah, and I think right now a part of what I need is just a sense of just doing without caring. Like it feels like I've been struggling so much throughout my life with this, the ability to just do, um, just because I want it, not because like it's not because it needs to be great or anything, just because I want it, and it's difficult to do it because there's also a sense in which you want uh there's or rather there's a part of you that wants the work to like amount to something or to have a clear direction, but then there's another part of you that simply wants you to fucking do shit and without caring. It's difficult to navigate. I think sometimes there's kind of this tendency to want to have both parts get what they want, right? Like it feels like that's what should be the right solution, but sometimes it feels like the right solution is just to give one part complete attention, right? And to kind of disregard other parts. Sometimes that's how it feels like. That sometimes trying to appease your different parts is kind of the bad move, because you're doing like a half move, half measures type of thing, and it doesn't really feel like it amounts to anything, right? I know I'm expressing myself quite abstractly and not very clearly, but like it's kind of like you're trying to chase two hares, and when you could just do one thing and see what arises. So, as expected for a vlog about chaos, this my whole discussion has been quite chaotic and not very grounded. One thing I've been realizing, I've been aware of it, but it's kind of it's been hitting me over and over, is that I've gone way past the point where my mind can really add something to my life right now. Like I can think more and I can come up with better ideas. But like generally, what I need right now is direction, intent, being able to do things without flinching. Some emotional work and just some introspection, right? So it has nothing to do with ideas or being smart. It has everything to do with deciding to show up and um, yeah, not flinching, not backing out because of emotional problems. The mind is a very useful tool, but it's very, it's very limited. It cannot do everything. It certainly cannot find direction. That's not what the mind is. The mind is really about solving problems, right? That's really is what it's good at. But I hope I've made it clear that in life there's way more than solving problems because when you're going through chaos, then there's not even like a clear sense of where you're going. So problem can only exist if there is a clear framing and a clear sense of where you're going. And chaos is by definition where you do not have that sense. So yeah, I feel like I'm kind of starting to repeat myself, so I'm just gonna end. So yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.